Hello, and welcome back to Movies Recapped. Today I will be showing you an amazing movie named Okja. The movie starts with Lucy Miranda presenting herself and her family from her grandfather down to her. She explained to the crowd that she was a leader who would lead them into greatness. One of the reporters commented that she was way funnier than the last CEO who was her sister. She explained how they were different in some aspects but insisted that she had an ignorance of humanity. She continues to tell the crowd that the world's population is 7 billion and 805 million struggle with hunger, including 30 million Americans. She explained that they were in desperate need of a miracle and got one, a super piglet. She tells that the breed was discovered in one Chilean farm. They brought it to Arizona and was raised by scientists under observation and performing various studies, producing 26 miracle piglets by unforced natural means. She continues by saying that the previous week they distributed the pigs to 26 different countries where the Miranda offices were located. And the piglets were offered to esteemed farmers, and there will be people on the ground to offer whatever is needed. She sets up a competition. The winner will be the one with the biggest pig. One of the elderly reporters asks how long will they have to wait, and she tells them that it will be only 10 years. The woman jokingly says she will be dead by then. The CEO explains that the super pig will not only be big and beautiful, they will also leave a minimal footprint in the environment, consume less feed, and produce less excretion, and most importantly they will taste good. In Okja recent day, we are introduced to a young girl named Miha. She was playing when the pig came growing in pain. She held the pig's name named Okja by her foot and removed a disturbing thing on her feet. She feeds the pig while having fun. While she was washing the fruits, Okja seemed like she wanted some more. They went to a waterfall where they both drank. She calls the pig to help her catch the fish, in which she jumped in the water, causing a water splash and removing the fish from the water. After swimming, she poos in the water. Miha's grandfather gets home with firewood on his back, worried about Miha. He checks on the food and uses the microphone to call Miha, who was sleeping on top of Okja. He tells her to come home for dinner as he was starving. Miha wakes up, takes the fruits and the fish and leaves. On their way home, while passing a rocky path, Okja becomes hesitant to follow Miha, and when she comes back to tie the rope on her neck, she trips and falls, holding himself with the rope Okja was holding. Okja makes his calculations and uses a tree log to save Miha and sacrifice herself. Kindly remember to hit the subscribe button before we continue to support this channel. Okja falls off the cliff and Miha goes to check up on her. She finds her lying on the ground, but she looked okay. She rolled cutely on the ground and hugs Miha. She whispers some words in her ears and they both get home. While eating, the grandpa mentions that Mundo from the office was coming to visit. He even lied that he sent them the money and they now owned Okja. The TV starts to misbehave and he smacks it until it works. Miha tells him to buy a new TV, but he says that the one they had worked just fine as he took his booze. Miha shares her food with Okja, and later in the night she takes her pillow and goes to sleep with Okja. In the morning, Hibong was the first to arrive. He orders the girl to get him the black box that was used to track Okja's weight. He plugs it in and the other crew members arrive. The girl was amazed as she saw the man on television. He opens the fridge and finds shoes instead of drinks. He asks for a drink and takes Grandpa's wine. When he sees the pig, he gets amazed at how big it was and orders the crew to start filming as he could not fake the emotions. He changes the clothes and they start rolling. He explains how the 26 farmers were given the 26 super piglets. He explains that he has always known Okja from pictures, numbers and graphs, but he was so amazed having meeting the pig. They ask the old man what his secret to raising the pig, as the old man replied to them that he just lure her run around. He gives the old man and the little girl stash. He orders the crew to get the cutaways of the pig as Miha requests him to sign the stash. The old man lied to the girl to go to the mountains to visit her mother, as he dreamt of her telling her that she missed them. At the grave, the old man asks the girl if he missed her parents, and she replies that she didn't even remember their faces. He shows her a golden pig which in the old days was given to their daughters as a wedding gift. The girl asks why he was giving her the golden pig, and he replies that she was not going to get married soon and Okja was going far away and he had to keep the golden pig instead. He continues to tell her that the pig competition was almost over. The old man tells Miha that Okja was selected as the best pig and they had plans for her in America, where she was to spend the night at Mirando building in Seoul and the next day board a plane to America. Grandpa continued laughing, saying that the pig was now a celebrity. He tells Miha that she was getting old to play with pigs all day. He advises her to go to town and meet a boy. Before he could even finish, Miha hits him with the golden pig and starts running back home where she didn't see Okja. She followed the path until she saw them just as they disappear. She gets back home to her grandpa cooking chicken for dinner, which was her favorite. She parked a few things and took a jacket and the golden pig and broke the saving box which his grandfather had kept for years. He tries to explain to her that it was Okja's fate to be sold and slaughtered. She leaves home as her grandfather was trying to stop her, but she threw money to slow him down. She gets to the city and heads directly to Mirando's company. She tried to speak to the receptionist, but she did not cooperate. She tells her to use the phone. The lady gets on the phone to ask whether she could let her in, but the little girl felt ignored and decides to break in and search for Okja. She sees a picture of the biggest pigs, Okja included. She locks herself in one of the offices and sees Okja being pushed into a truck. She tries to scream, but Okja doesn't hear her. She ran down the alley following the truck. She followed it across the street, not giving up, and eventually jumped on it. The driver was arrogant as he looked like he didn't like the work and passed the first flyover, almost hitting it and killing Miha. He accelerates when he sees the next footbridge, which was shorter than the other. Miha ran and hung at the back of the truck. Okja hears her calling and starts growling. A black truck passes, and they announce themselves as people who didn't like violence and tell them to put on their seatbelt as they were about to come on board. They smash the truck on the wall and Miha falls. They force the truck to stop. They try to take Okja, but she was too much for them. Miha calls her and jumps on her as they ran away. The robbers get in the van and follow, but Miranda's employee refuses to follow and they follow on foot. Okja passes in the subway, destroying things on her way. As the robbers and Miranda workers were following, she destroyed a whole store trying to stop when she was about to crush a woman in a wheelchair. A fight erupts between the two teams as one of the robbers removes a glass on Okja's feet. One of them shows her a tattoo of animal liberation and she goes with them together with Okja. Okja poops on one of the workers who were persistent to follow them. Jay, who looked like he was the leader, removed his mask and the rest followed. They introduced themselves and she also does. He explained that they were animal lovers and rescued animals, and they showed her pictures as one of them was interpreting. One of them almost fell as he had not eaten for days, saying that he wanted to leave the slightest footprint on the planet and saying food production was exploitative. Jay asked how long they lived together and she told them since she was 4. They ask if she knew where Okja was being taken, an underground laboratory in New Jersey where Okja was created. The interpreter explains to them that the girl believed that Okja was born in Arizona and her mom in Chile. They tell her that everything she knew about Okja was a lie. He tells the girl that the same lab was the one used to experiment on their genetically mutated animals. As genetic mutation was too dangerous, Miranda has been disguising it as naturally safe and non-GMO. But it was a lie, as millions of genetically emulated pigs were already lining up in front of slaughterhouses and the farmers were just promotional devices. Jay continues to explain that people would have been annoyed by the idea of eating genetically mutated food, so 10 years back Miranda's boss Lucy went inside the lab and dug around among the disfigured creatures and found the 26 prettiest ones like Okja and sent them around the world crossbreeding them, and the market was going to be fluctuated by their products from dog food, hot dogs, bacon and jerky. They planned to stop the whole thing from happening and had a plan that involved getting in the Miranda facility fully secured, but Okja could enter with a tracker as the scientists were eager to conduct tests on her. They asked for her opinion, and she says that all she wanted was to get back to the mountains with Okja, but the interpreter lies, saying that she agreed to the mission. They all jump in the water to escape. Meanwhile, the company examines the situation by watching clips of the news from Korea of how the pig destroyed an entire store. They comment that it seems their security in New York was too tight, that the robbers wouldn't even try to break in. They tell Lucy not to worry as they technically failed to steal the pig and the Super Pig Fest was to continue as planned. Lucy seats them in a room explaining how the picture from the news made them look bad. She explains to the worker that he has been trying to change the narrative from old Miranda to new Miranda. She tells them that she wanted to get the girl from New York in a reunion party. She even mentions that they will walk hand in hand off the stage, making the crowd fall in love with the company once again. They get Miha's grandpa and lie to him that she will be even doing Miranda's advertisement. He gets excited, but Miha was not in that mood. They take her to take pictures to create a good image for Miranda. While on the plane, she read English before she fell asleep. Lucy receives a call from her sister Nancy. who tells her that she was thinking of her and was having an unflattering picture in the press. She sent her a picture telling her that was the face of the most powerful Miranda had ever seen. Alf follows Okja as they see everything she saw. They felt like they were changing history with their small antenna. Okja gets into the lab where drunk Johnny was. He introduces her to Alfonso, who was an ugly big pig, and forces them to mate. It was a bad scene that moved the Alf members, regretting to have sent her but having to record it to expose them. They said they had to stay focused on the mission as the young brave girl entrusted them with the life of Okja, and there the interpreter decided to come clean and tell them the truth that the girl never agreed to the mission, but he didn't want to stop it. Jay batters him on the ground, telling him to never misinterpret as it was sacred. Jay bans him from the Alf but tells him that they will return his equipment after the mission as it was crucial and as a final contribution to the community. Johnny tries to give Okja alcohol, telling her that she will feel better. The assistant calls asking Johnny to put the phone under Okja's ear, and when Okja hears her she starts to run around. He miserably hurts Okja to make himself feel better after feeling betrayed by Miranda as Lucy embarrassed him in the meeting. They ran an ad and the pig fest began. They prepare Miha for the event. When she goes into the room she sees Jay, who apologizes for what was happening and tell her that they all loved her as he left through the window, changing his clothes to blend in with the pig festival crowd. Frank gives Lucy some flowers and she gives him a pig sausage, which they all exclaim to be delicious. She asks for forgiveness for the little white lies and convinces herself that it was not their fault that people were paranoid about GMO foods. She tells him that the flowers were beautiful and he had impeccable taste as always. Frank tells her that the flowers were not from him, or rather from her sister Nancy, who was in town. Johnny begins the show by explaining the 26 farmers from the 26 countries were given super piglets to compete with who would grow the biggest. Johnny introduces Lucy Miranda. She mocks her sister and introduces Miha and Okja. Miha holds a fruit for Okja but she comes out not realizing Miha. They play clips and John is knocked off the stage. Frank overhears what was happening and tells Nancy that they had to go out there and make things right. Okja bites on Miha, and when Jay is about to hit her, Miha protects her. She talks to her and she lets go. They started running just as the police arrived. Just as they were about to get away they catch Okja by the leg and arrest the ALF members. Nancy tells Lucy that for a while she forgot she was a loser and tells her that she will clean her mess by pretending to be her in front of the media. Jay and Miha get rescued by the translator. He calls a doctor who heals Jay. They reach the premises where the pigs were being slaughtered and she runs straight in to save Okja. She shows the guy who killed them a picture of him and Okja from a young age. The new boss Nancy gets in and asks why the pig was still alive, and Miha tells her that she wanted to go back with Okja. The guys from ALF try to empathize with her but she only talked business. When Okja was about to be killed, Miha offered her golden pig to buy Okja. She confirms with her mouth it was real gold and accepts the offer to close down the facility as the golden pig was worth a lot of money. He tells the worker to make sure that they get home safely. On their way out they rescued a piglet and they lived happily ever after. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more amazing movies.